Okay. I think that segment's good. We can move on to another Your Stock, Our Take. And Brennan has got OPRA. Are you singing for us today too? And we know you have a
No,
lovely voice, Brennan.
no, I will
Please.
not be actually singing.
Uh,
But yes,
it's a shame.
yeah, only for you. I'm sure everybody else is
I
happy
can
about
feel
that.
our subscriber count just drop.
Yeah, the listeners or viewership,
Yeah,
whatever, it's just
we just lost 100 just right there. So
muting or just running out. Yeah.
The real-time data is showing. Yep.
yeah,
Okay. So OPRA Limited, OPRA on the NASDAQ, currently trading at a price of $18.32, a $1.45 billion market cap, and about a 5% dividend yield. They do pay the dividends semi-annually, so just a note there. Now, OPRA is a digital web browser and content platform that offers a portfolio of desktop and mobile web browsers, including its Opera One, its Opera GX, as well as Opera Mini, and as well as content recommendation engines such as news, as well as its AI products, which it launched last year, being Aria. Now, the company's shares trade on the NASDAQ via American Depository Receipt, and most of the company's revenue is from advertising, while the remainder is through their search revenue. Now, the company's share price has performed quite well since its ADS IPO in late 2018 at a price of approximately $12 per share, where it now trades at just about $18 per share. But it has really had, kind of a volatile ride up to this point. But first, let's look at the company's revised strategy, which has led us to now pull the company out in our US small cap sweeps or market sweeps a few times now. In 2021, OPRA shifted its strategic focus to expanding marketing and distribution activities in Western markets, which have higher annual average revenue per user, or ARPU. I'll start calling it ARPU throughout the rest of the year. Now, higher ARPU customers while reducing spending in certain emerging markets. Now, this strategy was bolstered by the launch of its Opera GX gaming browser in 2019, which produces an ARPU of more than 3 times higher than its corporate average. And we can see this switch of strategy as its monthly active users for Opera GX in Q1 2025 were 10.4% of total users, up from 8.8% in Q1 of 2024 and 6.4% in Q1 of 2023. So the company is maintaining momentum with its focus on its Opera GX platform. And this has also allowed the company to grow its ARPU from 51 cents in Q4 of 2020 to $1.94 in Q1 of 2025. Now, just quickly looking at the financial results compared to the same period last year, revenue was up 40% to $143 million, led by strong growth in its advertising revenue. Free cash flow was up 45% to $12 million, and adjusted earnings per share was up 28% to 22 cents per share. If you're looking at the company's reported adjusted earnings, it is different from this because I am calculating my own adjusted earnings for this figure. So keep that in mind. Now, the balance sheet is also very healthy with net cash per share of $1.05 per share. So fundamentally, you can see what has generally attracted us to the company. Good growth, as well as a nice cash-rich balance sheet. But there are several key risks from the business, which include the Chinese ownership control of Kunlun Tech. They own over 60% of the business, as well as high competition from players like Google's Chrome and Microsoft's Bing, as well as the risk of changing consumer preferences. Who knows if all of a sudden, maybe Google or Microsoft come out with more of a gaming browser that maybe consumers like more. This is a risk to Opera. And lastly, the company's Google search agreement to be the default search for Opera's browsers, which is in the crosshairs of the DOJ. Now, in our US small cap report, which will be published this week, we include a mini report on Opera, and I go into more detail into the business, analyzing its current valuations in relation to its historical multiples, as well as its guidance and the growth looking forward, and where we think a decent price for the business would be, given the risk factors. But here, I just kind of wanted to switch gears and segue into the recent article which we published on our website regarding the Google antitrust case. As, like I just noted, Opera has an exclusive agreement with Google, which was extended through the end of 2025 to be the default search engine on Opera's browsers. And the revenue which they earn from Google could be at risk depending on the outcome of that antitrust case. So, as many of you are aware, or likely aware, Google has been in the crosshairs of the Department of Justice, or DOJ, regarding monopolies in, number one, its search business, and number two, its search advertising business. Now, I go into full detail into how the cases have been progressing within the article. As well, I also compare the cases to Microsoft's antitrust case from the early 2000s, and there are actually some parallels there that I take away. As well, I just kind of touch on what the next steps for the trial will be and the dates looking forward. But regarding its search antitrust case, the DOJ has requested that Google receive a ban on its lucrative deals that make its search engine the default on browsers such as Mozilla's Firefox and Opera's browsers, as well as devices like Apple iPhone. Now, the judge's final decision for its search business is expected to come in August of 2025, which Google will likely appeal. But if Google does receive a ban from these types of deals, it will force Opera to seek out different partners within its search business. Now, 33% of Opera's revenue came from its search business in the last quarter, and it's not quite clear how much of this revenue would be at risk if Google's agreements were halted, but it's certainly material and something to think about if one is looking at Opera as a potential investment. So if you're interested in our full monitor report on Opera, or our Google antitrust case article, head over to our website or click on the link in the description. And here is the disclosure.
It's definitely an interesting company. I mean, one of the things about it being somewhat of a specialist browser in some ways for gamers and how they're integrating AI into their browser. But of course, one of the things with AI integration is the barriers to being able to do that have come way down. So, there's a lot of the things that they're doing in terms of AI integration may be easily replicatable by competitors. But I do like in terms of just it being a browser, I like the idea of it being a niche browser, right? Because that does, differentiate it. It gives them something to focus on so they can actually provide the best offering potentially.
Certainly. And I've talked to Brett a lot about it and just, the uprise in PC gaming. I think I've probably brought this up on the podcast before, but it's a couple Christmases ago. There was a video of a kid getting a PS5 and unwrapping it, and he starts crying to his parents because he wanted a PC. So, it's just showing that there is this trend away from consoles more to kind of PC gaming, which again, this Opera would be picking up on that trend. But of course, consumer preferences. I know that is one thing that Brett is concerned of with the business. Just is, they're changing rapidly. Do people like Opera, as their gaming browser in, a few years from now? It's tough to say.
Yeah. That kid sounds like an insolent, spoiled little brat, but I'm just kidding. That's horrible. Anyway, sorry. Okay. Sorry, Brett.
The consumer fickleness would definitely have to factor in because it skews towards a younger audience, and as Ryan was just highlighting how hard kids are to please. And if you do have, I don't think they'll have any competition coming in the near future, but down the line they may. So if they do end up just being solely reliant on their gaming browser, which it is their highest ARPU product, does that increase the risk of someone pushing to their market share over time? It potentially does. Because right now, browsers are really generic. You got it's Chrome right now, then you have your Edge, then you have your Firefox, then you have Opera, you have Brave, and they're all they have a bit of differences between them, but they're all pretty broad consumer-based products, where Opera GX is much more focused on that niche, which is something really interesting, but we'll see it long-term. Do your Chromes of the world just take the features that Opera GX has that people like and just insert it into their browsers? Because that's what you've seen with browsers in the past, is whatever features work, they all end up doing some variation of it.
Yeah.
Interesting, though. I mean, I wonder, though, if the gamers that use Opera's specialized browser would switch over, even if the same features were there in Chrome. I mean, just because it's Chrome, right? Like, everybody wants to think that they're on the special piece of equipment. So I'm not a gamer. I don't know. You tell me, Brett.
Yeah, like
You're young, man. You're the youngest.
I think you would have the people who would continue to use it if they like it. But then, like I was saying before, it's a young audience. So when you have someone who's, let's say, 13 or 14 years old, they got their first computer, not a PS5. You'd be sad if you got that, apparently. Mm-hmm. And then they would be downloading whatever browser they want. If the whatever Chrome GX or whatever it happens to be, or if it's still just Chrome or whatever other browser, just using Chrome as an example, do those younger audiences start to switch over? And that's when you see those really generational shifts. Because in the same gaming space, you had something like TeamSpeak for audio communication a decade ago. And now every single person effectively uses Discord, both private companies, but Discord was actually, ironically, they almost got taken out by Microsoft a few years ago, but that fell through. But you do have these switches between really groups and generation of gamers switching to whatever new piece of software that just clicks with that generation at this time. Whether Opera GX has 20, 30 years out of them, maybe. But that is a risk that you do have that generational switch, which just that new product, which everyone attaches to if there's some networking effect like Discord has, that everyone has to hop on. But right now, Opera GX does actually have that networking effect to a degree, because I've heard people wanting to switch to it because their friends do, and so on.
Yeah. And as far as the PlayStations, the Xbox, I mean, here, like the 19-year-old, his friends, they all game on PCs, right? Like that's what they do. And even the 9-year-old, it's on a tablet if they're playing. Yeah. It's not really going to. The only thing maybe is a Switch because it's portable, and I don't know. But
well, and even think about it too, like
portable. It's not being used much, is what I'm saying. The tablets and that's the PCs. That's how they're all gaming.
Yeah, like and even think about it, like even like
games.
the Minecraft movie that's coming out. Well, you can't play Minecraft on
it's out
consoles. Or sorry, it's out.
Yes,
that's what I meant. I knew that it was out. I knew that it was
out. Most of these games that the true gamers play, you're not going to play that on a tablet. You need a high-end computer with a GPU.
Minecraft is on everything, just so you know.
Yeah.
Is it on console as well?
It is on everything.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, it's on everything.
I got to stop just playing Call of Duty.
Issues. All right.
Yeah.